But anyway, I digress. Let's have some fun and get on with this, shall we? Hello all of you little demons, Jules here for WhatCulture.com, back again with another episode of the awesomely named and awfully hosted Tues Your Own Adventure, the weekly medieval themed format where I, the crown Jules of WhatCulture.com, take a list chosen by you, yes you the person who yet again has to record another Tues Your Own Adventure literally 5 minutes or so before they have to head out on another secret What Culture trip. Are you wondering what we're filming? Well, stay tuned because in the coming weeks there will be something delicious for you to feast on. Yes, you get to decide what list I dole out to you each and every week. And this week we have none other to thank than Eric B31, who has got a beautiful idea of video game bosses that you simply can't lose to. Now, this is the thing. We've expressed many times before on What Culture Gaming about how much we love boss battles, but unfortunately, well, somebody's got to be at the bottom of the pile, and occasionally that somebody pokes their head out, finally gasping for breath under the sheer weight of expectations, only to be absolutely shat on by the rest of the community and other bosses in the game. Yes, that's right, we're looking at video game bosses so utterly pathetic that they literally can't beat you. Sad, isn't it? Let's have a look at them. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 8 video game boss fights you literally can't lose. And you know the drill by now. Say hi to me here in the live chat and put your suggestions for next week's episode down in the comment section below. And with that in mind, let's get on with this list, shall we? Number 8, The Mist Noble. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Now, I think it's safe to say that when it comes to creating epic boss battles, heavy is the crown that rests upon the head of developers from Software, because seriously, they've probably made some of the best, most epic, over-the-top and soul-crushingly difficult boss fights ever burned to disc. That being said, there always has to be somebody, like I said, at the bottom of the pile. That poor soul on which the entire community absolutely spits on for how easy or just completely rubbish they are. And while many might assume that the likes of Pinwheel from Dark Souls would be sitting pretty in this list entry, even he can apparently cast judgment over this next boss. Because the Mist Noble from Sekiro Shadows Die Twice? Well, this guy sucks eggs. To some Sekiro players, this air quotes battle with the Mist Noble might not even be considered a boss battle, as the challenge here is just getting to the Noble in the first place, as the area is covered with a thick shroud, meaning that you have to piece together a path to brighten the day by significantly darkening his. And once you drop into the recording sessions of Now That's What I Call Annoying Fluting Volume 10, the fight is pretty much over, because this guy, he hits with all the power of a bloody blancmange, meaning that it's just a few chops and it's over, which will likely leave the player more confused about what just happened more than anything else. Number 7, Yevon, Final Fantasy X. Now, when you've got more bosses than the amount of healing items that most Final Fantasy players carry and never use because they're saving them for a rainy day, then of course a few of them are going to slip through the quality and control cracks from time to time. Yet, I can honestly say that few expected one of the main forces of Final Fantasy X to be such an absolute stinker. Whereas some bosses on this list are capable, should you let them have a crack for a few hours, of possibly felling your party, Yevon over here is literally incapable of finishing the job by any means, mainly because his attacks focus on dealing damage based on a percentage of your life bar, meaning that no matter how much you crunch those numbers, it's impossible to be KO'd. I mean, sure, he will cast Ultima from time to time if he can be bothered, and yes, that is pretty devastating. There is one small caveat to that, and that is that your entire party has auto life on all the time, meaning that you literally can never die. What fun, right? In fact, the only way to actually lose this battle is to petrify yourself through attacking your own party members, something that some poor soul probably found out through sheer boredom more than any actual tactical mistakes. Therefore, Yevon is rendered a bit more like Poo Yevon, because he absolutely stinks and needs to be flushed quickly. What a waste of time this boss battle was. Number 6, Professor Nakayama, Borderlands 2. Poor old Professor Nakayama, eh? I mean, not only is he so absolutely rubbish as a boss battle that he sits in the pantheon of pathetic foes alongside the likes of Bob the Killer Goldfish from Earthworm Jim or General Scales from Star Fox Adventures, but the problem with him especially is that he's from the likes of Borderlands 2, so the weight of expectations for a decent shootout, well, they're pretty high. After all, this is the game that truly put Borderlands into the mainstream with enough force that made even Mr. Torg sweat. And thanks to selling incredibly well, the DLC expansions might as well have come with nibble marks for how keen gamers were to ingest that new content. Therefore, when Hammerlock's Hunt set up Nakayama as a secondary antagonist and posited that his intellect and skill with robotics would come to shoot and then punch you in the face, we Vault Hunters were ready to polish that dome with the butt of our guns. But then he fell down some stairs and died. Awkward. So let's pour one out, and by that I mean point and laugh at Nakayama, who did himself dirty before the player could even raise their guns. Number 5. Zot the Mighty, Hollow Knight. With a name like Zot the Mighty, you might enter into a battle with this Hollow Knight character with a sense of trepidation, as after all, you tend not to declare your power to your foe unless you've got the muscle to back it up. I mean, seriously, why do you think we call him Beef? Why do you think we call him Beefgate? He's made of beef, and he's slamming the door on people's faces. Ow, that one right in my eye, dude. However, when you come to clash with Zot the Mighty in the Trial of the Warrior after saving him a few times earlier on in the game, you'll come to realise that this title is kind of the equivalent of that kid at school who wanted everyone to call him Spider, yet possessed all the cool factor of a lecture on sex hosted by your nan. As Zot the Mighty might as well be called Zot the Pathetic for how little damage he can deal to the player in this boss fight. And that figure is actually quite high. Dan, put on your science coat, or at least a smart jacket. Let's crunch these numbers. Carry the 1 plus divide multiply. Is that how you even pronounce it? And the results are in, and that figure is precisely 0. What the hell, dude? Even the game's description of Zot can barely hide contempt for him, as it reads, "Some rare creatures are so weak, so helpless, so inept, and so irritating that hunting them gives no pleasure." Ooh. Ouch, Jesus, don't hold back there, mate. That was a bit harsh, wasn't it? I mean, at least you get his weapon Life Ender for beating him in this test of, well, I was going to say test of skill, but it ain't that. Test of patience probably is more apt. Number 4, Dracula, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. So when you think of the video game series Castlevania, outside of kinky whips and enough garlic to make a first date kiss seem like a distant dream, the first thing you probably think of is Dracula, the Lord of the Night, who loves to flip castles and middle fingers to the players as the main antagonist for pretty much every game in the series. And as such, he's usually an absolute arse to defeat, utilizing all of his unholy powers, all of his heretical magics, and sometimes even the very castle itself against you. Nearly every encounter with Dracula is a tense battle of skill and timing, and yet, thanks to the opening battle with this Coffin King in Symphony of the Night, it's actually a battle you cannot lose even if you try. I say this because the opening sections of the game pit you against Dracula and actually play out as a flashback, meaning that the events showcased here have already come to pass, and therefore there's no way you can lose against him in this scripted battle. Even if you actively let Drac open a bottle of your neck wine, Maria will appear to cast spells on you that make Richter completely invincible, somewhat taking the tension out of what is usually a pretty dramatic showdown between the Belmonts and this Bellend. I mean, sure, you should try to win the fight as quickly as possible because it affects the starting stats of Alucard, the next person you play as, but still, it's a fight that you literally cannot lose, so why not take your time and dismantle this Dark Lord one fang at a time. Number 3, The Electrocutioner, Batman Arkham Origins. So, remember when Arkham Asylum came out and basically bat-booted the world in its chops with its glorious rendition of Juicy Bruce versus Laughing Man battling it out once more? And do you remember how every gaming outlet kept on hammering the words, "You really feel like Batman," over and over again? Gliding through the air? Wow, sure feels like Batman. Throwing goons away like you're a germaphobe in a used tissue factory? Ooh, that's a bat feel. Having the same fight with every extra-large enemy because the bosses in this game are kind of terrible? You bats believe that's a feeling. Yeah, what's going on with those boss battles, lads? Literally, same. Every large enemy just plays out the same. However, I argue that the true moment that you feel like Batman isn't even in this game at all, as I argue that the overwhelming rush of power and brutality that are central to Batman's fighting ethos is actually found in the prequel title Batman Arkham Origins, namely when you cave the skull in of the poor old electrocutioner. After giving it the beans, Lester Baczynski squares up to our shovel-chinned hero, only for the player to absolutely embarrass him by downing him in one punch, before then glancing over the rest of the room with a look of, see him, that is you, that is. This is the moment where you feel like a bat god walking amongst mere guano, and don't worry about Lester, I'm sure that he'll be fine. What's that? He gets unceremoniously killed by the Joker? Well, that is awkward. Number 2, the knife punk, Bloody Wolf. Okay, so I won't lie to you, when I came to write this entry on the almightily silly shooter Bloody Wolf, I hit a bit of a roadblock, and that was mainly the fact that the boss that I'm about to talk about, well, I couldn't find out what his actual official name was. It seems that the community has sort of given him a name in the form of the Knife Punk, but to be fair, when you look at him, I'm going to always think of him as being discount Tesco brand Wolverine for how he looks. But trust me, it matters not what this guy's name is. You want to hear about him. And why is that? Well, for 2 reasons. A, because he's a boss battle that absolutely sucks the second time that you fight him, and B, because he literally brings a knife to a gunfight. Now, Bloody Wolf is a game that falls into the Metal Gear mentality of programming, in that it takes itself way too seriously while at the same time being utterly drenched in the silly. From enemies that die like they're in a school play to others that will shoot everything around them but refuse to move a single inch towards you, all the way through to the fact that when you complete the game, the pair of heroes refuse to go on another mission because it's apparently time to party. Bloody Wolf is just a delicious slice of the weird and the wonderful. Yet when it comes to little Logan over here, things fall off the deep end, because when he rocks up to battle you the first time around, you're stripped of all your guns and have to do battle with him with just your combat knife, which makes it a pretty engaging fight. However, when he shows up again for the rematch, for some reason the game doesn't apply these restrictions, so you're free to shoot him in the face and down him in seconds. Seriously, he won't even get close to you the second time around. He'll just be like, I've got a knife, I'm gonna get you, and just like, okay, bye now, bang, done. Laughing stock, absolute laughing stock in a game that is just chock full of stupendously weird moments. Love it. And number 1, the Mantis Ant, Secret of Mana. Okay, so a little bit of a flashback time to when I was but a wee boo-hoo baby. When I first played this game, I may or may not have freaked out incredibly hard when I came up against the Mantis Ant in Secret of Mana. And by that I mean I may have thrown the controller, I may have panicked, I may have just absolutely screamed my head off because of how disgusting this thing looked to me as a kid. And also I died quite a few times. I tell you, for a protagonist bristling with "you are the chosen one" potential, I sure died in a way that would have had the onlooking villagers recoiling in cringe. And yet, I stood up once more. Was this part of the prophecy that I, the true hero of the land, could never be felled by such a brutish beast? Well, yes, but mostly also no, because the real reason that you get back to your feet again and again and again is because the game is just trying to teach you the basics of combat. So yeah. No. Yet whatever the real reason, I suddenly felt a fire ignite in my heart, a passion with the focus of a refracted beam of light from the sun itself through a magnifying glass made of justice, which was now gonna burn this ant to cinders. And yes, I may have died at least 3 more times after realizing that I couldn't actually be killed, but still, I felled the mighty beast. And that is the most important thing. Kind of wish that it applied to future battles as well, because I got my ass kicked throughout this game. And there we go, my friends. Those were 8 video game boss battles you cannot lose. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section, as well as putting your suggestion for next week's episode down there as well. Now, there might be a bit of a structural issue because of the fact that next week I'm traveling once more for another secret WhatCulture video, and then the week after that I'm on holiday with my family, so we might miss a Choose Your Own Adventure. I'm trying to convince James to do an entire Choose Your Own Adventure on his own. We'll see if I can convince him, but still, stay tuned. Fingers crossed we'll get something out for you lovely, lovely people. But put your suggestions down there anyway, regardless, because I love reading them. I love reading all of your great ideas. But in the meantime, if you want to chat to me on the social medias, you can do so by going over to Twitter and typing in RetroJ, but the O is a 0, or you can follow Dan Durkin, who kindly edited this episode while James Downs is on holiday right here. Thank you very much, Dan. But before I go, I just want to say one thing. Even though we spoke today about video game boss fights you can't lose, sometimes it can definitely feel like you're on the ropes being absolutely pummeled by life over and over again. But trust me, my friend, we are in your corner. The collective community here at WhatCulture Gaming, your friends, families, and professionals in the support industry, we all care about you and want you to do well, all right? So treat yourself with that love and respect that you so desperately deserve, all right? And don't let anyone tell you that you are anything less than an absolute ledge. And then get back out there and smash life right in the face and one in the plums for good measure. I believe in you, mate. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye.